I want to talk about somebody who's one of my favorite Twitter follows. I'm a big fan of his website, TerezOwens.com. Welcome to the podcast, Terez Owens. How you doing, my man?
Hey man, thanks for having me on again. Appreciate it. No complaints this way.
Very appealed by your website. I'm a big fan of your website. How
Appreciate
long?
that.
Well, why don't we do this? Let's talk from the beginning. How did you become who you are now? How did you become the website CEO? Um, and I want to learn about the background.
Okay, well, there's two of us. Um, it kind of came about. I was doing like little 3 minute YouTube videos back in like 2005 when there was no money, no advertising in it, and I worked for a company called Cush TV, and we were just spending a lot of money, and this is right, it was going into where the economy went bad, and we were doing stuff with like famous stars and straps and like, but I just wasn't really into it. I was a big gambler. I was a Lakers season ticket holder, so I'd gamble on the games. I'd find out who was coming, who was playing Lakers Clippers. I was shooting some music videos and stuff at the time, so I'd find out if these guys were out all night. And I'm like, man, there just needs to be like we need to follow these athletes around because they make more than these so-called celebrities, and most of the time, not to put them down, but they're less educated. And there's more money in sports advertising, so we just kind of randomly, me and a buddy came up with the idea, the name Terez Owens off of Terrell Owens, and 2 days later, which is what 2000 February 2009, we haven't missed a day since. Man, it's kind of become what we do for a living now, so it's kind of cool. And you could tell, like when we first started doing it, we were kind of like the gossip bitches, you might say, and now, I mean, it's every day on First Take. It's kind of
So this
crazy.
shows you how great of a host I am. I called you Terez Owens.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you go by with the media? Like, do you go by your real name, which is?
We go by Trez Owens. My real name is Joey, and my partner's name is Scott.
All right.
But we a business partner, not partner.
Didn't
Um,
assume anything. I know it's
gotcha.
2017.
It
Scott
is.
might be a handsome fellow, but
Yeah,
I didn't presume anything.
yeah, no. So basically, we've always felt by Trez. We never really tried to be like walking the red carpets
Hmm.
or trying to do the whole Perez Hilton thing. We did kind of copy the website, but not as far as trying to be like famous or anything. Like I was around Hollywood for 15 years, and I've seen the good to the bad in that. And the last thing we wanted to do, we wanted to be a brand. We didn't want to be. Neither one of us were trying to focus on walking red carpets and like patting each other on the back all day.
What's the biggest challenge that you first experienced with running a website like this?
Um, can you hear me? My
I
sound's
can
good.
hear you. There's a little bit of a feedback
Well, I
there.
lost you somehow. We there?
I'm here.
Okay, sorry. Um, at first, it was just letting people know you were out there. I mean, that was a challenge. Then we went through, intellectual property rights. We got sued a bunch.
That's when you
Figuring
know
out,
you made it, when you get sued.
yes,
Like, that's
I
like, oh
think
my
yeah,
God, I'm finally here. I just got sued.
I guess, but there's a year where you're like all your money's going to lawyers. Like a year and a half. Like I think we took like 6 or 7 uh, legal battles that year, and it's just like you ask yourself all the time, is it worth it? And it's like in this game, in this day and age, it's just a constant transition. I think they've gotten away from the suing aspect because also athletes, they understand if you sue, it's just going to drag the story on longer, right? So a lot of the
Hmm.
times they're just like, we just want it to go away.
So, were you sued by Terrell Owens?
No, it wasn't sued by Terrell Owens. Most of the time it was most of the time it's like photographers that have these pictures of these athletes that we use,
Hmm.
and they partner up with some lawyer and basically send 14 cease and assists out, and if you don't give them $2,000, doesn't cost them anything. In some of these places you can sue for $80.
How would you
So
market yourself? How would you advertise yourself at first? You have a
uh,
website that no one knows about.
dude, we were
Um,
hitting ESPN, the message boards. I actually knew this girl, Mary Carey. Do you remember? Um, she was like the porn star that ran for
she's
governor.
on the rehab show too, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I knew her, and we were at dinner one time, and she shows like this was our first kind of thing to kind of really spam around our first real story. Besides just like because we were figuring it out as it was going on. We couldn't. Twitter was new. There was no Instagram. So we're just trying to get pictures as you can. You're even showing pictures on the field, but she had a night with Melky Cabrera. Remember, he played for the Yankees,
Hmm.
and she gives me this video, and he's in her hotel room, and he's speaking all goofy, and he's popping these peanuts with his shirt off, and it was just a funny video. And so that was like our first real thing. And so we hit the message boards with the spam, like on ESPN, and there was a time when you couldn't even type in TerezOwens.com anywhere on the message boards on ESPN because we were just spamming the hell out of it. And then different Twitter takes about, and then just different stories, man. I think it's just staying consistent. Like I said, we haven't missed a day since 2009, and we've obviously came a long way at first from just being kind of idiots not knowing what we're doing to now. I mean, we get covered in some pretty reputable places. So who knows, but at the end of the day, it's we're throwing shit against the wall every day and seeing what sticks. It's like we are a sports gossip blog.
How's your staff then to now? Do you have a bigger staff now than you did before? Or did you start off with a bunch of people who you thought were trustworthy, but all they wanted was your contacts? How did that pan out?
No, we've always kept the writing between me and Scott, and it's just been us two. Recently, we brought someone on for the weekends, so we just pound out the week and do the week. But our staff has maintained, and I think that's why our blog is maintained, because the even the internet has went so like corporate. Like as far as advertising goes, you can't get the big advertising dollar unless you have so many views. So our overhead is really low. We don't. It's just our server, and we have a weekend guy, and we've always kept it pretty small. So in ways that was good, and in other ways that was bad. But I think in this day and age, the way it's gone, it's been good for us because our overhead's low, so we can kind of, maintain what we do.
How's the trustworthy factor with a lot of the people you probably grew up with, went to school with? Who's like, oh shit, I just saw him on the internet, and all of a sudden your phone's blowing up, and we got some good, hey, let's come over and smoke and watch Netflix and PS4 and hang out and have some Papa John's. How often does that happen, or has it happened before with these friends coming out of the woodwork like, oh my God, he's famous?
I have some pretty good friends that aren't like whatever, and I went through a time like my best friend married Britney Spears, right? So I saw
Kevin Federline.
Yes.
That's your best friend, Kevin Federline.
Yes. So I've seen ups and downs on other times. I've seen it way more than like we're really nothing. Our friends, obviously, they're happy for our success, and that's kind of cool. But I've seen it on different levels to where it's like, no, I don't hang around creepers that are coming out of the work. But yeah, in Hollywood, you get some weirdos.
How does Kevin Federline become your best friend? Was this before the website or after the website?
This is before the website, man. We were working on a movie. I was a production assistant for a company called Believe Media, and I was working on a movie called You Got Served. I don't know if you had ever heard of it.
I have heard of that before.
Well, he was in it, and man, we used to blaze there, and we just started hanging out and became good friends. And then, like 3 years later, that whole deal goes. So I've seen from out of the woodwork. I've seen from top to bottom to everything. It lets you know that fame can be a devil sometimes.
He beat John Cena though.
Hey, you know what? I give that guy props. That's crazy. I was with him, right? I was with him. I think we were in Miami, and that was.
Were you in the ring? You were in the ring, were you?
No. I was like backstage. I wasn't with him, but we were in Miami that weekend, and I think it was maybe New Year's.
New Year's, yeah.
Is it a New Year's show?
I think it was a New Year's show.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And he wasn't bad, man. He was pretty good for.
Well, the actual match occurred. John Cena versus Kevin Federline was.
And then there was a third guy who was in there who fought him for him or something.
Yeah.
That was the next night on Raw.
That's the next night on Raw when he showed up with a black robe on, and it was like a boxing trainer kind of theme that he was in, and John Cena picked him up and threw him down, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
It took balls to do that, have some respect for that. So when he started going on with Britney Spears, were you on board with it, or were you kind of like, hey, listen, I got a feeling here that something's not right with this?
I mean, at that point, you're on board with it. It's like, Hey, have fun. You know, it was like we were out at a club, a place called Joseph's, and he wound up meeting her, and that was it, man. They were together every day.
Did you
They
ask
went
about her
like,
sister?
no, no. I think she was young at that time.
Oh, yeah.
We were more into the dancers around her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your first big like story. A big thing with me with the NFL, as you know, is a lot of times you don't get credit for it. A lot of
Yes.
times the big name TMZs and all those sites are the ones who say they broke it.
Yep.
They may even have the person break it themselves after you broke it.
Yeah.
Walk us through like a big like, story that was broken by you, and you didn't get credit for it, and then to walk us through like a story that you broke that you finally got credit for it, and how was that experience?
I got two good ones. I'll give you the first story that we didn't get credit for, but I mean, you could look up. You know, we were first on it. The Aaron Hernandez,
Okay.
right? So I have a buddy that is he's like he owns a company called Athlete Promotions, and basically what he does, he would put out on the internet, like he was good with the search, the SEO, so it looked like he was Aaron Hernandez's manager, but really he would just book him for events, like corporate events and stuff like that, but not as a legitimate manager. So he gets,
His name Ryan
yes, yep,
Taka.
yeah, Taka, good guy.
We're in the same circle, me and you.
Yeah, so Ryan Taka sends me this email that's saying about Aaron Hernandez shot his client in the face twice, this and that, and we're like, what? We're like, this can't be true. So we put the story out that this is what we received. We don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on, and then all of a sudden, about a month later, this whole thing starts to come to surface, and of course TMZ grabs it. They were the first ones on it, even though I was working with Charles back and forth at that time. Charles from TMZ over there, and we had sent it to him, and I think he did link us at some point, but it was never like we were the first ones to ever really come out with that, and we never really got full credit. So that was kind of a weird thing. But a story that we did get credit on would be the LeBron James Delonte West. Um, Basically, the story came out that LeBron James's mother, Gloria, was sleeping with Delonte West, his teammate, and we had sources at the time were telling us like, and they were close, man. I'm going to say they were bodyguards to some guys in the NBA, and that this had broken up the team. So we went ahead and said, hey, we put it out, and we had never really been in trouble or sued or anything, so we were a little scared, you know. All of a sudden, it's flying around the internet, but no mainstream will touch it. Like, nobody will touch it. At this point, ESPN, none of those people would ever even talk about this. You know, I think this is 2010, and all of a sudden, 3 days later, we get a cease and desist from LeBron James, his lawyer. And I had reached out to our lawyer at the time, and I'm like, hey, if I give this to TMZ, this story can go mainstream. And she's like, no, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. You're risking everything. And we sent it off, and then the story went from there, and we got credit for that. And that was the story that kind of broke us open to the public at first. You know, that was like our biggest mainstream story that we're appreciative for.
It was pretty cool last month. You got some props on the post. They posted an article about like JJ Watt and his new
Oh yeah.
girlfriend, and they gave you credit for that. What challenges are there when you receive a picture like that, which I presume was an email or a text? What challenges do you have to the validated not being Photoshop and not being a real photo, and it being a photo that is trying to get you in trouble? So
You
how's
know
your
what?
process?
There isn't a process. We kind of go through our head, and we're a sports gossip site. We're going to put it out there. We're not telling you it's true or false. We're just passing along the gossip and letting the viewer kind of make their own mind
Hold
on it.
that wire a little like further away. I think that's the microphone's tapping your neck and there's a little popping noise. I
Oh,
think
sorry, man.
it's all good. It's all good. So how's your trust level with that? Now it's like doing it like worse because I think it's like touching it. Yeah. So if you can just do that a little bit, like kind of like put your hand a little, yeah, like so like stretch it out a little bit. So how's your trust level with a photo like that? It's very risky. You know, you can get burned very bad if it's confirmed that it's a fugazi. So how's your
Yeah.
trust level?
Um, like I said, we used to get like, oh, should we put it out? Now we just put it all out, man. You know what I mean? if we think it's could be legit or not, like I said, we let the viewer kind of decide. We've had some problems as far as like, you remember the Des Bryant Walmart video?
I do.
So I had some friends
We
who,
discussed that last time you were on the No BS
yeah,
podcast.
yeah. So I mean, that video I know was out and somehow disappeared in the time of Des. Why would there be a police report on it of the exact same thing that we said? Even Adam Schefter said it, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and he joins Jay-Z, Rockefeller. It was just like Jay-Z kind of, the Rockefeller brand kind of took Des away from all. He had a lot of ties to a lot of friends and acquaintances that were kind of doing a bunch of deals, and they just kind of sacked all of them. And when that kind of happened, I think a lot of the friends were like, screw this guy, I got stories, here we go. And I'd say, if I had to guess, somebody bought the video. How else would there be a police report in a Walmart parking lot if something didn't happen?
Let's talk about Marquette King. This was a story you posted late last year. Marquette King and Miss Kardashian West might be having a rendezvous. CBS Sports, a few days later, posted a retraction. We are retracting a story we posted Saturday, which reported on a rumor published by the popular sports blogger TerezOwens and Kim Kardashian. They did a whole article about it.
Yeah.
How did that whole process work? How did the tip come in? Do you no longer have a relationship with this tipper? Can you walk us through the whole situation?
Yeah, we got a couple emails, and to be honest, it seemed funny from jump. But we put it out, just like it came through our tip box. We put it out, and it just ran out there. And then Marquette King, kind of embraced it, kind of trolled off of it, and got his name. He's not afraid to put himself out there a little bit. And then we actually got a cease and desist from the legal head of the Kardashians. You should have seen it. It was 16 names, singer, and so we had to do a retraction and put it out saying it was completely false. But it's I don't know, man. Whenever you're dealing with those Kardashians, it's they don't care if it's bad or good. I mean, it's still a story, right? It's
how difficult are they to? Obviously, you have to deal with them because they're attached to sports whenever they have the opportunity to be.
Yes.
So you have to deal with them. What is that process like? Have you had any interactions personally with any of them? How did they come off? How did they smell?
I saw, actually she married one of my buddies, who was her first husband. It was actually Damon Thomas. I don't know. The Underdogs. I don't know if you know
Okay.
the Underdogs. So I know him, and I've just I've never really had any interaction with any of them besides seeing him in the back room at Lakers games or Clippers games when she was dating.
But there's a difference between her then and now.
Yeah.
We're talking surgery. We're talking implants. We're talking.
Yes. I mean,
ego.
They're vampires, right? I mean, it's, to me, they've ruined the generation, but maybe it's not just them. Someone else got to be pushing the button to put them on all the time,
That's their mom, right?
Yep.
How often is there a sex tape of them that's circulating randomly out of the blue, and you get the tip, you click the link, you're doing this a little bit like a dog does, and doing this again like a dog. It looks like, there's a lot of porn stars out there that look like Kim Kardashian now on purpose. There's one I just saw the other day. And I'm just going to plug a porn site. I can't do that. I can't do that. You're a bad influence, TerezOwens. TerezOwens.com. Talk about the challenges of dealing with that whole, every week there's a sex tape. Now there's another rumor that Kim has another tape running around. And my second part is question about is sex tapes. There's a rumor TerezOwens has one out now, and how common do you get a player, whether it's a boxer? I know they just caught one masturbating on Skype. Great idea, by the way.
Yeah.
How common do you get those emails of this is a sex tape, and you're like, I don't know.
We get more it sounds bad, but we get more dick pics and then you're trying to figure out. It's like it's just a bad
How many
look.
dicks do you see a week?
Oh, I try not to see any, man. That's just a bad question, but
It's
this
not
week
by
one.
choice, but at a professional level. No, no, no. This is a professional question. Listen, you're a heterosexual male. It's completely fine. So am I. Two heterosexual males. How many on a professional level? How many dicks have you seen per week?
Oh, through the internet that we get sent, I would say you're at least seeing 3 a month.
Odell Beckham. Have you seen his dick?
I've seen what they. I think there was some pictures out there that they said were, but who knows if it is or not, right?
How much of a target is him? We heard about the boat.
I,
We heard about the weed. I mean, I retweeted the picture. I think it was yours or someone posted the
yeah.
article. He was with a buddy on a boat. They just won. They're in the playoffs, and someone has a blunt in their hand, and it's next to Odell.
Yeah.
And like secondhand smoke is very easy.
Yeah.
It's very easy to fail a drug test that way too.
I think he's brought it on himself, man. I mean, well, you're in the city of New York, and let's be honest, he's like he's top three receiver. This guy. I mean, if you put his numbers, there's nobody better in the first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but I mean, does he bring all this on himself? I mean, why wouldn't you come out and say you're straight or you're gay or not? I mean, I understand we live in this day and age, but if he didn't want it out there, he could shut it off. You know, he kind of like leaves it a mystery, which I don't care what he is, but like, so that's why I'm saying he kind of brings it on himself. Why wouldn't you just disregard the rumors and have a girlfriend or like, you know, I think a lot of it gets brought on by himself. The temper tantrums on the sidelines, the stuff like that. But hey, he's an elite athlete, man. I'm not Odell Beckham. I probably had those skills. I'd probably act like a weirdo too.
You had a story last year, September of last year, of Dak Prescott going out with Johnny Manziel's ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
When they asked Dak Prescott, he denied it openly. What are your thoughts when you saw that? How solid were your sources? And talk about that whole story.
My source on that one is rock solid. I'd put that against it. I don't know how much they dated, but I know they did have interaction. You know, there's pictures out there, and the guy I got him from was friends with her. So, I mean, she's the one that kept baiting the whole situation. She got about 15 weeks out of the NFL, you know, of her pictures circulating around, and she's not that great looking of a girl, so she made the most of it.
Let's talk about Johnny Manziel.
Okay.
She's not that good looking of a girl. Really?
Oh man, no, she's just. I mean, she just looks like she's been washed up. She got some miles on her, man.
Really?
Yeah.
What's this? I'm gonna share this.
I mean,
Her,
obviously,
correct?
yeah, but I mean, anyone can play Mr. Potato Head. You know what I mean? Like, let's see her in the morning. Let's see. You see some of these pictures, you can tell it's like she's a little washed up. I mean, she's not ugly by no means, but these are actually the best.
That's the worst one with the Dolphins.
That's kind of what she really looks like. I mean, look, it looks like.
Me being a Bills fan is very offended seeing that picture.
But I mean,
listen, man. I would love to see. I would love to see the kind of tale that's brought in by you, my man. I mean, holy shit! Why don't you whip your phone out right now? If that's not an 8, I don't know what the fuck is in your world, man.
Oh man, that's not an 8. That, you know what? That's like a Arkansas 6.
Sheesh.
That's an Arkansas 8.
I'd love to be Facebook friends with you. Your photos, holy shit, man! What is we got? You got some relation to Britney Spears in your life, Kim Kardashian. I mean, what are you doing? I mean, are you doing like Wendy, like Williams or something? I mean, what are you doing?
No, man, no. Just I don't know. That the Kevin thing is he's just my buddy. You know what I mean? And just so happened that his neighbor was Damon Thomas, and that's how I had met him too. So
how difficult when that whole divorce went down and the weight gain and everything? How difficult were you separating yourself from a media member, from a friend? A lot of the media did bash him. There were a lot of bad things, as I said about him. You know, like the weight gain, the whole thing.
Yeah.
How difficult of it for you as a media member to make sure you walk that fine line of fair and balanced, but also as a friend to him, seeing what's happening to him, and how difficult and challenging was that?
Yeah, like, you know, as a friend, you kind of gotta, at that point, there was some times when we were all caught up, right? Everybody gets caught up in that Hollywood world, and and to be honest, there's still a few of us that from that circle that haven't really gotten out of it. But it's kind of one of those things where after a while, if you're good friends, you got to look at each other and be like, okay, you got to get healthy, man. This is, you can still get going, but it's more or less how you see everybody treat them. You see the ups. I'm flying private jets to Miami, going to parties. Like you can't pay for the treatment you're getting, right? Like, and everything's free. And then you go from staying at the nicest to like the worst, and you see everyone laughing at him, and he's outside selling pictures, running down the block, before he's going to fat camp, and it's like. But to be honest, he's the same person I met from day one to he is now, and there's not too many people that have been through something like that you can say that about, which is pretty crazy.
How's he doing now? Healthy,
Doing
happy?
good. He's doing good. He's got 6 kids, so they keep him busy. He's DJing, and his wife, she kind of regulates him from time to time, and he was, getting in and out of shape. He struggles with his weight, but everything's going good for them.
Who's the one person that you love to work with from a media standpoint that's a sports star? And who's the one person who fucking hates you?
I mean, we just go back with LeBron. That's the hate. It goes from everything because we still kind of clown on like his mom's husband, I guess. But they might be broken up now. I don't know. So we call him the babysitter. But I would say LeBron. People we work with, a lot of the UFC fighters. A lot of the UFC fighters are really cool. If I had to say like a name NBA wise, I've worked with Tony Parker a couple times for TerezOwens watches, and that guy was as cool as it could be, man. Like as nice, as humble. A lot of these basketball guys, they're not easy to deal with.
So what's the one story that you hesitated on or you passed on that became huge where it's like, fuck, if I just jumped on it, if I just checked my email, or if I just picked my phone up, I would have been able to get that first?
To be honest, I know there's some. I can't keep any in the head. We throw them out. We just throw it out there. You know what I mean? We don't really be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't put this out. But we did wait a little bit on that. Like I said, the Aaron Hernandez, when you get that thing from a lawyer saying, at this point, Aaron Hernandez is tight end for the Patriots. It's like, what do you mean he shot someone in the face? This can't be real. Dude, turns out they're still in court for that same thing.
Down the street from me.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy. And then I'll tell you actually another story, a funny one. So the day that they actually went to arrest Aaron Hernandez, we had the Mark Sanchez. I knew one of the girls who was messing around with Mark Sanchez, and she had a video with him dancing around the butt fumble too. I don't know if you saw that.
Mm-hmm. I saw.
We woke up, we're like, oh, this is going to be everywhere. Just so happens that same day they arrested Aaron Hernandez.
It got a little big.
It did, but the Aaron Hernandez took the major role out of it. We got a little ESPN coverage out of it because it was pretty good.
I'm a Bills fan, but I live in New England. ESPN completely ripped the Patriots during the whole Deflategate process. How was your reporting? Be honest. How was your reporting during that whole process? Were you pro Patriots or pro NFL, or were you kind of in the middle?
I was never pro. I just can't. The game was 42-7, right? Like I can't. It just doesn't. I can't. I watched the game. Deflated ball wasn't going to make a difference, and oh man, these guys, maybe they mess with the ball a little bit. It's not. It was just all a big joke. I feel like the NFL doesn't care whether it's a bad story or a good story, as long as it's the story and they're getting coverage on it. And it's like the NFL is the biggest soap opera we have now.
What's your take on the whole HGH NFL situation and how they care more about weed than they do like steroids?
I just don't. I don't know if they want that. HGH is still kind of a quiet one. All the steroid stuff comes out, but HGH still kind of slides under the radar, man. It's like it's kind of one of the weird things, and I think maybe the painkiller companies are the ones that are keeping the weed out of it.
It's difficult. When these players retire, what happens. The concussions,
yes.
The head trauma. I did an interview with Kyle Turley. He played for the Saints. He's the famous one throwing the helmet. He's a big marijuana advocate now.
I've actually had conversations with him about marijuana.
Very intense individual.
Yes.
Very serious individual, and it raised a lot of awareness to not only the medical of the marijuana, but the marijuana, but the concussions. I mean,
Yep.
the concussions and the lack of empathy and the lack of care that this league's providing these players when they hang up the cleats. It's a problem.
The NHL's worse.
Yeah.
It's my sister's, like, one of my brother-in-laws played. He was a tough guy in the NHL. Brad Norton, actually from Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Awesome.
And I've dealt with the head injuries firsthand. You know, guy fought 9 years in the NHL. I've seen it. You know, I've seen what it does in and out, and it's pretty crazy, man. It's no one really knows. Like, these guys are pushed their whole lives into one direction, and then you spit them out when they're maybe 28, maybe 30, and they have some money. It's more trouble, and they don't know what to do. You know, not a lot of them. They don't really show that side too often.
A huge thing you and I have in common is we love the UFC, and UFC 209 is coming up this Saturday live on pay-per-view. Big shout out to Dana White. I don't want to name drop, but he follows me on Twitter. Just not a name drop or anything. Tyrone Woodley, who, again, not a name drop, but he follows me on Twitter, is going to go up against the Wonder Boy. The rematch. The first one was a draw. First question, who do you think won that first fight? And second question, who do you think is going to win the rematch?
I thought Woodley played it as good as he possibly could have. I would have to give him the first fight to Woodley, right? Because that was a dominant round, and I mean, he literally, like, just, I can't believe, I didn't think Wonder Boy could take that shot, and I know Woodley can, you know, he puts guys out, and Wonder Boy took everything. Saying that again, if I have to watch this fight again, if Wonder Boy's a little more aggressive, I don't know if anybody at 170 can handle him. He's pretty good.
I think the big thing that he didn't do in the first fight is he didn't engage.
Yeah.
He didn't let loose. I mean,
And
you see his other fights, he's swinging for the fences. He's doing wild axe kicks and question marks like Luke Rockhold. He's doing these ridiculously, you know, like crazy moves, but Madison Square Garden, UFC 209, I think it got to him. I legitimately think I think the first fight got him reserved, and it got to him, and he didn't really unload like he should this time, hopefully.
Agreed. Totally agreed. I feel like he just didn't let loose, man. Like, because I felt like if he would have let loose, he was winning that fight. He would have knocked him out.
Habib Nurmagomedov and Al Kakui, Mr. Ferguson. I am probably more excited for the co-main than I am for the main. It's a stacked card. It's a good card. We got Rashad Evans, Alistair Overeem, and Mark Hunt. Seems like a really good card, you know, for UFC 209. Obviously, everyone wanted Nick Diaz to be on the card, being 209. I think they made up for it a little bit good. Al Kakui versus Nurmagomedov. What do you think?
Oh, man. I got to go with Khabib, but El Kakui, you know, L.A., he's tough. Who knows? Everybody's a little bit hesitant now with, you know, with Michael Johnson stepped up and kind of shocked Khabib a little bit. But, I mean, you know, Michael Johnson can throw it down too, and he hit him with some good shots. But saying that, I can't see Khabib not taking down anybody and just dominating them on the ground. I mean, if there's anyone that can beat him, I'd say El Kakui's got a better shot than Conor McGregor, you know?
Do you think Rashad Evans will actually make it to fight? I know the last two times it's been postponed. Do you think Rashad Evans is going to make it? And do you think Kelly and him are going to? I think it's Paula Kelly and him. Do you have a prediction for that fight?
I think they're going to give Rashad one to go out. I mean, nothing.
Daniel Kelly. Sorry.
I mean, nothing's a given, right? But I mean, I watch UFC and I don't know who Daniel Kelly is, so maybe they'll give Rashad one to go out. But I don't know, man. When those guys, you know, when there's problems with the brain, you don't want to mess around.
How surprised were you that GSP got the middleweight title shot? I mean, I know Henderson took the first one, which is a little like, Yoel was standing there. I mean, they literally, with all due respect to Dana White, they literally advertised number one contender for the. This is it. This is the number one contender. Yoel wins, and then he wins again, and then all of a sudden, GSP, I want to come back, and he comes back, and he's gonna challenge for the middleweight title. What are your thoughts on that?
I think he owes it to Conor a little bit, man. I think if Conor wasn't playing stubborn around here, they wouldn't need GSP as bad. So maybe they gave GSP the fight that he wanted, but GSP deserves it. Maybe they don't want Yoel to be champion. He doesn't speak that great of English. He's had some controversy in the ring, with the water bottles and sitting down longer than
Monster Energy. This is a water bottle. He threw a Monster Energy drink, which can take a head out.
Yeah. No, I was talking about not Conor, but I'm saying Yoel when he was in the corner.
When he took the breaks.
Yeah, and then the time against Tim Kennedy when he didn't get off the seat.
Tim Kennedy should have got that win by default. Because the point would have been like deducted or something. I mean, that's a forfeit. And it was crazy because when Yoel got to the back, Tim's like, what the fuck? Like, are you in or you out? Like, you can't just sit there, and I know, I mean, with the Jesus comment too, like that he made.
Yeah.
I do a very good Yoel Romero impression. I just realized that. With that comment that he made, and then he called into the Bisbin's podcast, you scared, you chicken, I do a GoFundMe. GoFundMe. And then GSP.
Yeah, I like GSP. I'm a fan of GSP. So, you know what? I think Michael Bisping's going to give him a shot. Michael Bisping, I think he would have beat Romero if he would have just, he's a tough guy. If he could get him past the first 2 rounds.
Yoel and Hector Lombard are the 2 people that I'm physically afraid of.
Yeah. How did Lombard win his last fight? Or did he lose?
No, he lost to Johnny Hendricks.
3 rounds, that's right.
Who wanted to fight GSP.
Yeah,
they're in the same weight class now. They're both middleweights.
Yeah.
If Johnny Hendricks wins one more, maybe put Yoel and Johnny Hendricks together. And then GSP wins. GSP Hendricks rematch for the middleweight title. That's kind of the first time ever that a rematch has happened in a different weight class. That'll be kind of a big deal. I thought Hendricks beat GSP that fight. You look at Hendricks' face and look at GSP, who's cut up completely. Yeah. And he got that win. And he shouldn't have. And then he retired.
Yeah, I agree. I think GSP lost that fight. I think he got out at the right time. I mean, the money's got to be right to come back, man. I mean, GSP's got enough money to last him the rest of life. I mean, let's be honest. In this day of social media, he's probably the biggest star in Canada, maybe ever.
Let's talk about the Conor McGregor effect. What is the biggest change you saw in the UFC before Conor McGregor and now Conor McGregor in the Floyd Mayweather fight? Do you think it's going to happen in 2017?
Man, for some reason I don't. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think with the UFC, being the third party that's trying to maybe stop it from going down right now, or maybe they're trying to make something happen with that in the Anderson Silva Roy Jones fight. But the main thing Conor's changed, money, man. I love to see guys like Nate Diaz making a couple $1 million. Like, those guys deserve it, man. They are MMA. They built this sport. I mean, to me, obviously, I've been watching it since I had to go to Blockbuster and rent Hoist Gracie, the very first ones. But now, I mean, I just like to see these guys getting paid because it's, how long until all the head injuries start coming out with this stuff? It's a matter of time. These guys, their window's short. But then again, look at the Johnny Hendricks situation. I think he lost 3 in a row, and then he gets 1 win over Hector Lombard, and hey, 1 more win, and maybe he's fighting for the title against GSP. You never know.
Look how
strange happens.
He looked like death when he was a welterweight, and that last media call he did, where he's challenging writers to weight cuts, it really opened up the door where like Cyborg almost dying, almost dying. Hennon, I think, almost died as well. He did one too. The weight cutting, we got to find a different. I mean, bring back the IV at least. That helped a lot. Helped a great deal. Do you think Conor McGregor will be in a WWE ring?
I think for sure at some point. I mean, I think it goes that way. He's got the personality, but I think his head's in the right place, man. He's just, he's a smart guy. He hasn't, even defended his belts, but he keeps it so on his side with the next guy fighting the next this. It's like no one's even paying attention to that.
If this is too personal, let me
Uh,
know. Are you married?
no.
What is the most well-known or famous girl you try to hit on? And what is the most famous girl that tried to hit on you? And what is the most famous girl that you ever hooked up with? You can say no comment. I'll let you go by. I mean, that's 3 hard-hitting questions. I waited 40 minutes to do it, but I had to hit you with it eventually. 40 minutes in, here we go.
You're gonna put me on the spot right here in front of my girl.
Why do we... So pass. No, you can pass.
Say hi.
She doesn't know those answers? Hello, how are you?
This is Hannah.
So she doesn't know those answers, correct? Hi, Hannah, how are you?
No, I don't think she knows those answers. I mean, maybe.
Would you like to know those answers? No.
Oh, she didn't hear the question because I had the headphones in.
So that's a good thing. She doesn't know what we're talking about right now.
Yes, exactly.
Do you want her to know what we're talking about right now?
I keep it 100, man.
Do you want her to know about your foot fetish? Do you want her to know that or no? Because she can hear it. So I guess we found out about the toe sucking.
What?
Show me 6 toes.
I think the bag's out. I was asking, what is the most famous female, before you obviously, that ever hit on him?
Hit on me? I don't know. I had a really bad one. I hooked up with Tara Reid. That was a bad one. But it was on her way down. It wasn't on her way up, dude. I'll tell you that.
Was that when the loose skin was going on?
Oh yeah, it was probably like tummy tuck number 11.
How much alcohol were you under?
A lot, and probably a lot of drugs too.
I feel bad for her. Not that she hooked up with you. I just feel bad for her in general. That she's taken this giant dive, and it's just like you just want to feel bad for her and just be like, you want to like look at her like she's a puppy.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, man. I had one of my buddies was actually engaged to her, at a time, and it was just, I don't know. It's sad to watch that, man. You see it a lot.
Was it Carson Daly?
No, I don't know him. This was just a random guy that lived in my building that was a friend.
What's the one girl back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s, of course, like before Hannah? What's the one girl that you fell flat on your fucking face? You tried everything you could to try to get with her, and you just... What's the most famous one that you failed completely? Epic fail.
Tatiana Ali was in my DUI class, and I just was not cool enough at the time, man. I was not. This is a long time ago, but I was just not cool enough at the time. Like we were friends, but that was... She wasn't having me, man. I was definitely not cool enough at the time.
Was there a pickup line that you used?
No, but I don't think...
What's the approach? Like... Hannah, what's the approach with him? Like, what's the pickup line that like got him completely? Was it like a plenty of fish kind of deal, or was it like a friend of a friend? What's his pickup line? How does he swoon you?
You didn't have one.
You didn't have a pickup line.
Dropped me, shot, and walked away.
And how quick did he tell you that he ran a really well-known website? Was that something that he had in his back pocket the whole time and he wanted to use on you, or was it something you learned eventually?
No, he told me, but I didn't get it.
Not like
We
that
were drunk
night.
in Mexico.
Yeah, it was like
When did you... Don't let her answer. When did he tell you?
No, it was that night, but I didn't understand what it was.
It was that night.
Yeah.
So you showed up with like a business card, like, "Hey, do you know who I am? Here you go."
No. I think I just asked what he did.
Do you go to the internet? Here's my business card. Let me buy you a drink. Is that what you used?
No. Don Julio, bro.
He goes, "No, I didn't use it the first night," and you just confirmed that he used it the first night. So he's hiding something. Tara Reid, huh?
Yeah, I know.
When did you wait to tell Hannah that one?
maybe she's seen pictures or something. I don't know.
No,
And did you say from Sharknado?
I want to see a picture.
Huh?
The Sharknado?
Sharknado, yes.
Which
So-
is like the only thing she's known for now. You know?
Yeah, it's, dude, bad, man. That's another one I've seen from top to bottom. You know, it's kind of Hollywood game is evil, bro.
What's the craziest thing you ever saw on film? And don't say Two Girls in a Cup, because your hand is right behind you.
Oh, do you ever remember a video called Shake That Bear?
Well, say it again?
Shake That Bear?
No.
So there's this couple, they're out in the woods, and he's teaching his girl to shoot, and she shoots a bear out of the tree.
Jesus.
The bear falls, and next thing you know, it cuts to him, like, smashing her from behind and, like, telling her, shake that bear, and he's, like, just disrespecting her, you know.
Was the
on
bear
top.
okay?
The bear was dead.
You know how to rescue for homeless animals, and you're going to tell me a dead bear story?
No, I know, it's bad. You said
Jeez.
I'm telling you, that's disturbing to me.
That is disturbing. What are the goals for your website? Do you do a weekly TV show yet? I mean, like, do you want to do something like that where you do a weekly show like Harvey Levin does with his coffee mug and all of his people with his hanging out, like, agreeing with him all the time?
We've tried, you know, we've done a couple little pilots. It's not really worked out. We kind of did the whole, like, Tosh.0 deal, kind of, and, you know, we've just kind of stayed in our lane. Like I said, we haven't really hired a bunch of people. We've kind of kept it just exactly what it is, just the blog, and we kind of just stay in our lane with that, you know?
What's the coolest thing you got invited to so far? What's the coolest thing, and how'd you get the invite? Did you inquire? Did you a friend of a friend, or did they just randomly send you an email and say, "Hey, I want you to come to this SB event"?
Yeah, you know what's a really cool event is the party that the SBs throw the night before the SBs. Like, dude, that's where, I mean, I even still go there, and, like, you know, I'm almost 40, but I've seen every athlete, you know, and I see all these actors and stuff all the time. That doesn't do it. When I see some of these athletes, you know, it's you gotta have respect, and they're all at this party. So I mean, that's a pretty cool party. Back in the day, being younger, I got to go to the Playboy Mansion, you know, back when it was good. That was kind of cool. I don't know, now it's just if you have enough money, you can go there, corporate event, you know.
It's a museum now.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, back in the day,
No cum rags on the floor. There's none of that anymore. It's depressing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
So,
like no itch in your neck when you walk in there and start scratching yourself. It's just normal now.
Exactly.
And I have never been. I'm just saying. I just presume that's how it would be back in the
Yeah,
day.
it's not like it used to be, but I don't know. I've got to see a lot of cool things, man. I'm pretty lucky, and I'm pretty lucky to have the gig with Terez, because it lets me travel and kind of work for myself, you know.
I have an SB story. I invited a player. I don't know if I should reveal the player or not. I invited a player whose agent said he will come on the podcast. You've been on for a fucking hour. This guy wanted to be on for 10 minutes in exchange for 4 tickets to the ESPYs. For a 10-minute podcast interview.
Yeah.
The agent literally asked that. Hell no, I'm not going to the ESPYs. I don't know how to get ESPY tickets. I don't even leave Boston. I stay in my lane. I stay in Boston, and that's it. I don't bother anybody. This dude wanted for a 10-minute interview. For a 10-minute interview, Darnell Dockett, you dumbass. It wasn't Darnell Dockett. It wasn't Darnell Dockett. He wanted 4 tickets to the ESPYs.
Did he come on, though? No.
No, he didn't come on because I didn't give him tickets to the ESPYs.
You know, he had my back during the whole Jameis Winston thing, because I was the only one standing up for Jameis Winston, back saying he didn't rape that girl. Mm-hmm. And Darnell Dockett, because I guess he went to Florida State, all of a sudden started following on Twitter and just retweeting everything I put out. It was that's my only experience with Darnell Dockett. I've talked to him through DM. That is about it.
I didn't confirm it's Darnell Dockett. It may or may not be Darnell Dockett.
Gotcha.
Maybe Darnell, if it is Darnell, didn't know that his agent requested that. But boy, what a request that was.
I wonder if that happens a lot.
I wonder if a lot of agents put their foot in their mouth for the player. And I know it's happened to me where I've literally asked an agent to have a player on, and the agent says no, and then the player just happens to text me. Or I happen to text both of them at the same time, and then the agent says no, but the player says absolutely.
Who's the biggest player you've had on?
Oh, shit, man.
You've had a lot.
Well, Antonio Brown and I are cool. We've had him on multiple times. Did a fathead contest. We've had Deion Sanders, Tim Brown. Jim Brown was so awesome. Jim Brown called my father-in-law's dad, who's 90 years old, on his birthday. I had Jim Brown on a Sunday in the hotel room in Baltimore. The Browns and Ravens were about to play, and that's how good Jim Brown is.
I see him in L.A. Golfing a lot. It's
go up to Monique, his wife. You will love Monique. That's someone who's an awesome soul, an awesome individual. What they're doing with the American Foundation is amazing. They're actually going to jails and educating the people in the jails on what life can be outside of jail if you live a straight way. Jim's an influence and a half. I mean, he's just a figure that just is imposing. I mean, he's a legend. He's one of the greatest of all times. And he has individuals with him who have been to jail and have came out of jail and have turned into teachers, and they turn into a positive influence. And they go to schools. Like, I was what you are right now. I was in a gang. I got in fights. I've done everything there is to do in jail. I think it's just awesome.
Yeah, that is cool, man. That is really cool.
But no, we've had on, prime time. I mean, we've had everybody on. Jason Witten, DeMarcus Ware. It's been an empire that began before iTunes. There was no iTunes when I started. We actually were the first ones before NFL Network didn't even exist. We said we have no off season because we don't. We've done draft stuff for so long, and that's when we get these kids on that are draft rookies like Anquan and all these kids that are in the draft, and they want to be drafted in the first round, so they hop on our show for some really good exposure. And they're talking to people who know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
And they're just not going to blow them like, oh my God, you're the greatest of all time. Tell me who's your influence. No, it's a conversation. We're shooting the breeze, like we're on the couch and just chit-chatting over a beer or a blunt, and just having a good freaking time. And that's something I take great pride in, is I treat these guys like human beings. I don't blow them. It's just, we joke, we bust each other's balls, we have fun. Hence why I've done a lot of shows with players that have been my co-hosts. Anthony Adams is one. We talked to Lawyer Malloy about having one done. There's been a lot of them that I've done podcasts with. Going on my own, doing a general sports politics, which I know absolutely nothing about, by the way. I am glad I don't know anything about politics. Say it again?
I said, who wants to know much about it? It's great.
I don't, I know everybody hates him. I know that. Have you entertained doing a general site, I think it's MTO. Are they a competition to you? And a lot of their shit is fake. A lot of the shit they throw out there is fabricated fake. They advertise a sex tape and it's a virus. So my first two questions is, have you entertained doing a general everything? Talk about Tom Hanks's hotel room that he just left destroyed. Shit like dumb shit that I think is dumb because I'm a sports guy. But, a Perez Hilton and an MTO and a TMZ, they do everything. Have you entertained doing that? And what are your thoughts about a site like MTO? That does it bring the industry down by a lot of the fake reports?
MTO is, I'd like to trade bank accounts with MTO. That's how well they're doing right now. It just lets you know that people like to read this crap,
Yeah.
People know. I think people know it's fake. They just like to read it anyways. And they have been right on a lot of time, but if you throw enough shit against the wall, something's gonna stick, right? Yeah, we have entertained doing other sites. Like at one point, we got into politics, and we had this site called Perez Obama, which was going to be part of the Terez family, and it was like a little caricature of just doing the same thing we do at Terez, but just on politics. It's hard to find a blogger that's consistent, and I'm not like the greatest with politics. I'm a sports guy, and I try to stay in my lane with stuff like that. But I've broken some stories for like TMZ and other sites like that I've handed them over in exchange for links or something like that. Or I've even there's videos out there of you can hear my voice in the background actually being the paparazzi as we've sold stories to TMZ, right?
Mm-hmm.
So say like Kevin Federline had his 6th kid, so we put him in a shirt that said Juan Moore, Juanmoore, and then it said with a jersey number 6. So it's going to be Juan Moore Federline, and then, I'll be the paparazzi, and then we'll sell them that footage. That's kind of how it works. So
how do you shop for freaking 6 kids on Christmas? I know you two are close, so you're obviously in charge of getting the gifts.
You go broke. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Although his kids are pretty good, but yeah, I mean, I don't have any, so I can't imagine 6.
That's just crazy. That's just crazy. Do you have anything that you're like working on now that's a story that's going to be pretty big? And if so, do you want to divulge on anything that you might be working on?
Man, we've been trying to figure out. There's a 6'4" French pitcher in the MLB that's out here sending his dick pic to chicks, and we're just trying to figure out who it is, and we're kind of close, so soon. But it's like I still can't believe these guys send this crap, man.
I have never sent a dick picture.
Yeah, I'm not either, man. I'm not trying to embarrass myself.
Is it a big? I mean, apparently the last podcast we just did, the creep catchers. The creep catchers. They literally, if you like, right after this interview, go on creep catchers. Go look at the YouTube, dude. You'll be so pissed at me because you're gonna be hooked. Hannah's gonna be gone. Hannah's gonna get so pissed at you for being on like YouTube all fucking night. She's just gonna be like, "I'm getting the fuck out of here," because you're not gonna get off you're not gonna get off like YouTube. It is an addiction where you let that shit get in a loop, and you don't even touch the clicker. You just let that render, get in a loop. I'm telling you, and everything they do is they send a dick picture.
I don't know, man. This where we're going these days with the transgender bathrooms and all. It's crazy to me. I mean, look at Bruce Jenner. Speaking of that, we almost started a site. When did we buy the domain? We bought shimkardashian.com and Bruce Gender. So we were going to start
Bruce
a site,
Gender.
but we just have never done it yet.
So I'm on the case right now trying to find a pitcher who's 6'4".
Maybe for the Padres.
Brett Anderson's 6'3".
Who is?
Brett Anderson. He's white now. Is it black or you can tell by the penis, right?
No, he's white. He's a white guy, French guy.
Brett Anderson 6'3".
He played for the Padres?
Padres last year?
See,
This is live. This is breaking a story live right now. A Breaking Brian podcast. We're gonna find the penis. This is the greatest. This is it. We're gonna find the penis right here live on the Breaking Brian podcast. We're gonna look up pictures right now.
Okay, Brian Anderson, you said?
We got Keith Hessler, who's 6'4".
Where's he from?
He's a pitcher.
This guy's from Canada.
Carolina, like coastal Carolina. He was born in D.C. This is awesome.
This guy's Canadian.
This guy's Canadian. This is awesome. We're gonna break some news here.
I'm gonna send you dick pic, but I'm gonna send you the other pic.
Don't send me dick pics, but I'm gonna do this favor for you. I'm gonna find this person. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we found your Zach Lee. He's 6'4" from Plano. Oh, he's from Texas.
No, this guy's from Canada.
All right. You said 6'4"?
6'4".
Land O'Lakes, Florida. No. I don't think we have a pitcher who's 6'4". Zach Lee's not 6'4". He's been playing. That's 6'4". That's white.
Hold on, I'm going to send you this through DM real quick right now.
Kentucky. That's in Kentucky.
Think what now? Maybe he gave a fake name and a fake team. I don't know. These dudes come down here to Arizona and just run through these chicks.
Reading, Pennsylvania. Nope.
Nope. This guy's. You'll see. Kind of. Sorry, you're gonna have to see male ass, but it's better than a dick pic.
That's a Wednesday night for me. I mean, that's an every Wednesday night seeing ass. Are you sure this guy's 6'4"? Because there's a couple 6'5s laying around here.
Is French Canadian?
Well, just because they're born in Florida means they might be French or Canadian if their mother's French Canadian.
Said said he was born in Canada, right?
Oh, born in Canada. That's the problem. I don't think we know who's born in Canada.
I heard he was French. Yeah, maybe it's all a lie, but I don't know. We've been playing Detective Seek and Find here for last little bit.
All right, yeah. That is a guy who loves to look at his ass.
Hannah thinks it's Jake Arrieta. But
No way.
I don't think that's Jake Arrieta either. Because if I look at him in he's a little more ripped than that. Not to sound like a weirdo, but in the ESPN The Body issues. But I know they make him look all ripped, so who knows?
I think he looks like the individual that I just showed you.
Let me see.
Hold on, let me turn on my share screen again. Actually, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to show his face, and I'm going to side-by-side his face with that. I'm trying to maneuver it. All right, I'm going to put you over there so you cover up the conversation.
Zach Lee?
Zach Lee.
Nope, that's not it.
Hold on a sec. Look at that face.
No, I know. Zach Lee, let's see here.
Zach Lee is 6'4".
Hey, Dodgers. Who did he? 227. How?
That guy's like bigger.
Yeah. He's 25. He looks like does he look like he'd send out a dick pic?
Here's a surprising thing about dick pics. Like the least expected people you think will send a dick pic, send a dick pic.
Oh, so she was FaceTiming him, and he was FaceTiming her, and she screenshotted it.
Well,
and now she likes the guy, so she won't tell us who it is.
There are some people out there that are very sexual, and they're very proud of their dick, and they don't know that that's the norm or that's not the norm. They don't go to someone's house and compare dick pics. I don't think they play pool and they put their dicks on the table and say, "What do you think?" What I do think is they may have an inflated ego, and they may think they have the biggest dick in the world until they send it to a girl.
Yeah. True.
What about podcasting for your website? Have you considered doing podcasting, doing the podcast channel, and do you have a podcast? This shows you how good of an interviewer I am on my research.
No, we don't have a podcast,
But
I've done quite a bit of them. I used to do a lot more. I don't really do anymore, but yeah, I've thought about doing a podcast. It's just I got to get to a spot. It's consistency. So just getting into a spot where I can feel comfortable and consistent. Once I put one up, I'm kind of one of those things where if we're going to go once, we're going to go at it. So it's,
It can be draining, man. I mean, I did 28 shows at once. We're talking 28 teams in the NFL. And we're talking writers who now work for Bleacher Report and now are well known. But at the time, no one knew who the fuck they were.
Yeah.
No one knew who they were until they got on the network and they're rubbing elbows with big players. And, Bleacher Report takes notice and hires them all up for me, which is what happened. But it's a grind. Especially when you're on with the people who don't know anybody, and you're the only one, so you're blowing up agents 24/7. Hey, can I get you on for the Cardinals show? or the Bills show, or the Patriots show, the Falcon show. I mean,
you're your own publicist. You're your own everything. You know,
Yeah.
it's tough.
absolutely. Let the world know what the future is. Do you have a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan for this website? What's the future for?
I'd love to partner up with like the New York Post or someone like that and be their sports gossip column. You know, maybe a contributor to Page 6 as TerezOwens and kind of build my brand with another company. You know, to make it bigger than it is. But our whole thing is like we never wanted to be like once you're in. This makes sense. Once you're in, you're going to be out. So we've tried to just fly under that middle radar, so you know, have a little longevity and kind of not be so in. So then, you know, I just feel like when you're so in, then all of a sudden people hate you.
I'm jealous of your website because I don't think you have. I don't think you have an advertising. What's the word I'm looking for? An advertising allowment where it's like, they're selling dick pics. Fuck it, let them on. With me, with the NFL, I can't say yes to dick pics and like dildos and fleshlights, and you are all open, right, with that, like knowing that like your site's not really a corporate site.
Yeah, for sure. But then you know, you too much of that, all of a sudden you're steering Coca-Cola money away, you know, and you're dealing with some third-tier energy drink. So you know, there's a fine line you want to walk between, you know, becoming known as that or like, you know, a good like OK Magazine or a People Magazine type of kind of blog, if that makes sense.
Who's the one sports player who you think's gonna explode and just have a breakdown and we call it a DUI or beating their wife or doing something crazy? Who's the one person who you think is gonna explode? A, and B, who's the one person that if it does happen, you're like, I'm not surprised?
This is going to sound so crazy, but Russell Wilson, man, I don't think he's that guy that loves to be at every event, and Sierra is she just needs attention like oxygen to breathe, right? So I don't know what that whole situation is there, but like I don't feel like Russell's like so head over heels and loves to walk 4 red carpets in the off season a week, and that's going to get to you.
Who's the one that if it breaks and you see it on Twitter, you're not going to be surprised by? Who's the one you're like, oh, that's not a big deal? I kind of expected that. And not the easy Pac-Man Jones and stuff. That's easy, you know, the Pac-Man Jones.
All of them, you know, I mean, but, you know, I did expect Des Bryant kind of, it looked like he sat on his ego a little bit this year and realized, hey, they might not need me as much as I think, and kind of got in line. So I thought maybe he was going to have, you know, that situation could have gone the other way, but somehow they all meshed and they all got along great.
And he donated to a local shelter for animals too. So he's got my love. He's got my love. How often do you report those like kind of like stories? You know, like donating to charity, doing feel good stuff. Do you know it feels good, but you know that the listeners might not be entertained by it, so you don't do it, or is it open game?
If a publicist sends me something, like I work with AEG a lot, and if a publicist sends me something, I'll put it up all day. Like, you know, we did a lot of the John Jones, like Boys and Girls Club stuff, because I'm a fan of John Jones, man. To me, he's the greatest ever, and it just sucked to watch him just, you know, just stumble on his own 2 feet the whole time, but we'll put them up all day. I mean, content's content, so we're putting up 25, sometimes 30 stories a day, so we need it. I mean, it doesn't get as much play as a dick pic or, you know, some groupie calling a guy out or anything like that. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool to hear, you know, because there's a lot more of those stories that fly under the radar than are out.
My last question, and I thank you so much for your time. You've been very charitable. I'm gonna give you my answer, and it goes back to John Jones, which is pretty interesting. Who's the one sports athlete that you talked to, had a chill conversation with, and then something happened where you were like, holy fuck? I'm gonna give you mine, Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy and I sat down like we're doing right now. We spoke for over an hour. We talked about his mother. We talked about his rap album. We actually did a fancy bet where he was actually a big UFC fan, and he was going to the fights, John Jones versus Chael. I actually contacted John Jones' manager, Melky, and hooked him up. And guess who's managing Greg Hardy now in his MMA career? Melky Kawa.
Yeah. First round management.
That was, I listened to Ariel Helwani's show, and I saw the two of them on it, and I said, wow, I hooked them up. And I texted Greg, and he didn't get back to me, of course, because ever since his whole exit from the NFL.
You guys are all like Greg Hardy. Come on, man. He's a warrior. So, like, then we expect these guys to be all perfect. You know what I mean? None of these guys are going to be perfect. Look what they do for a living. I mean, we train them to be warriors, and we praise them for being warriors in the field, and then they slip up, and I'm not condoning anything he did, but, you know, I like to see these guys get second shots. I think...
Greg's very adamant. He never put his hands on a female.
Yeah, I mean, there's no footage, right?
How often do you get, like, the females who claim abuse, who want that money, and they claim that you got touched, and how often are they hitting up like you and say, hey, listen, you know...
I think that's more of a... Most of those chicks, I feel like they're getting hit and beat. They're in their own zone anyway, so they're scared to say anything. We get more of the like, say, like, the girlfriends, like J.J. Watt's girlfriend, that, like, before the girl he's dating now, but, like, say they go on a date with him or something, they want it out. So they'll pretend they're someone else and send it to me, and I'm like, I know what's going on here. You're just trying to put yourself out there. We get more of that than say, domestic violence and stuff to that nature, because those are huge accusations. Once those are out there, I mean, look, like you said, Greg Hardy's adamant, but like if you ask 9 out of 10 people if Greg Hardy is a good guy, they would say no, and they probably never met him in their life.
I talked to him for over an hour, and we did make a bet that if I hooked him up in the backstage with the UFC, he would do like a special slam dunk, which he never did. People portray to be one thing, and then they're another. I mean, how many players have I gotten on to like promote their charities? They have no idea what the fuck's about. They're just told to be somewhere and sign autographs, and they're doing it. It happens all the time. Who's the one player that you thought was really cool, and then something crazy happened? You're like, oh man, divorce, DUI, killing someone.
I mean, I never met Aaron Hernandez, but that blew my mind.
No, I mean, in college he had issues too.
Yeah, but I mean, you wouldn't think he's shooting 2 guys in the face at a strip club. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
There was a witness. There was a family member that claimed that the witness is the one who did that. That just broke like today. That the witness was the one who did the killings.
Everybody I've met it's been pretty cool. I mean, like I told you, the whole War Machine situation that I went through, that was really weird. And just to watch, I mean, he almost killed that girl, but like from jump, I could tell at this party, like his girlfriend was running around flirting with every guy there. And I was like, oh, this guy's about ready to break everybody's neck, because it wasn't like these guys weren't even like porn star guys there. They were like little computer guys like myself, you know what I mean? Or like, they're a tough guy. They don't even like play basketball or anything. And it was like, I saw him lay like 7 of them out. So, I mean, that was pretty crazy.
Let's talk about the website. Let's talk about your Twitter feed. Let's talk about how we can find you. Thank you so much for coming on as well. Plug away. Like what's on your mind? What's going on with the current events of the sports world? What's on your mind? What are you looking forward to? And plug your Twitter and everything like that too. Open platform. Go ahead.
TerezOwens. It's at TerezOwens. TerezOwens, and TerezOwens.com across the board on all social media. We're getting ready to actually drop a new site here in a couple days. So looking forward to doing that. Maybe have a little better layout. And March Madness, right? March Madness and the Masters. That's all we got to look forward to. It's kind of a dead time right now. We all know who's going to play in the NBA Finals, so that's kind of boring.
It's been too long, man. It's been a couple of years since we've had you back on the show. I wanted to thank you for hopping on. You have an open door invite to come on the show if there's anything you want to talk about and let's discuss and lay it out. Open invite. We'd love to have you back on.